Welcome back to another explainer. Today, we're diving into the wildly entertaining history of a guy who basically used pure wit, absolute cheek, and a ridiculously quick mind to completely outsmart the rigid military and colonial structures of his day. We're talking about a true legend in Mizo history, a man whose very name is practically synonymous with mischief, Rumliana. And trust me, the stories we're going to look at today, they aren't just hilarious. They actually reveal a brilliant, almost genius strategy for dealing with power. So let's kick things off with a big question. How exactly does one single, mischievous guy manage to turn the strict rules of his era completely upside down using literally nothing but cleverness? Throughout history, tricksters have used humor not just to get a laugh, but as a seriously subtle weapon. They poke holes in authority. And Rumliana? Well, he was a total master at this. He didn't fight the system with weapons, he fought it with baffling, undeniable absurdity. Here is a quick look at how we're going to break this down today. Meet the Mizo trickster, subverting military authority, the master of excuses, wit, songs, and mischief, and we'll wrap up with the heart of Mizo humor. Section 1. Meet the Mizo trickster. Now we really need to look at this specific Mizo term, mi maksarang. It roughly translates to an extraordinary, rare, almost once-in-a-generation kind of trickster figure. And Rumliana, he wasn't just some class clown, he was the literal embodiment of the mi maksarang. The guy was a mastermind of mischief. His brain just operated on a completely different frequency than everyone else, which let him see loopholes where the rest of the world only saw brick walls. And what's wild is that Rumliana wasn't a myth or some folklore character. He was a real guy navigating some very serious, heavy historical events. Born in 1897 in the village of Zinta, he grew up in a time of massive change. By 1917, he was actually serving in France during the First World War. Then, in 1921, he joined the Assam Rifles. So here's a man living inside these incredibly strict, structured, often colonial environments, which, as you're about to see, basically became the ultimate playground for his rebellion. Section 2. Subverting military authority. Okay, so the military obviously expects flawless uniforms and total punctuality on the parade ground, right? Well, Rumliana's reality was a bit different. Picture this. He casually strolls out wearing exactly one shoe and one sock. When his absolutely furious commanding officer demanded to know what was going on, Rumliana calmly explained that, well, since he was running late, he only had time to put on one side. Naturally, he got punished and was ordered to run 4 laps. But he ran so incredibly slowly that his angry officer actually started chasing him. And in doing so, inadvertently ran the 4 laps right alongside him. You really can't make this stuff up. He was constantly finding these amazing loopholes. Take the Polish prank, for example. Rumliana shows up for inspection and only one of his shoes is brilliantly shined. The other is completely dull. When the commanding officers confronted him, he didn't apologize, not at all. Instead, he argued that since he was only issued a single tin of polish, it obviously wasn't enough to cover both shows. And honestly, his logic was so bizarrely unassailable in the heat of the moment that he successfully manipulated the military supply system into giving him double the shoe polish rations. Talk about turning a potential punishment into a massive win. Section 3. The Master of Excuses. This one is absolutely one of my favorites. One time, Rumliana showed up late returning from leave. Standing right in front of his super strict officer, he claims that a massive river flood had blocked his path and delayed him. The officer just stared at him and pointed out the glaring, obvious flaw in his story. It was the middle of the dry season. Rivers just do not flood in the dry season. But without skipping a beat, Rumliana delivers this legendary, deadpan response, I was surprised too. It's that sheer audacity that just leaves people in charge completely speechless. And this really shows you just how far he was willing to go. He would engineer these elaborate physical performances just to get around barrack curfews. So he and his buddies sneak out to the village of Tlongwam to court girls, and they stay out until dawn. Knowing a severe punishment is waiting for them, Rumliana comes up with a master plan. He literally throws himself into the dirt and rolls completely in the mud. Then he makes his friends carry him back into camp while he fakes this agonizing severe injury. The commanding officer takes one look at this pathetic, muddy mess being carried in, rolls his eyes, and mutters, he's too clever, he'll be fine soon. And guess what? He completely forgot to punish any of them for breaking curfew. Then there's the 99 out of 100 story. The soldiers were all sitting around bragging about their hunting skills, and Rumliana confidently chimes in, saying, I haven't shot 99 out of 100. So, naturally believing he was their absolute best marksman, the officer sent him out to hunt. But instead of hunting, Rumliana just wanders over to a local widow's house and comfortably hides out there for an entire week. When an officer accidentally spotted him stepping outside, Rumliana flawlessly lied right on the spot. He claimed he'd wounded an animal, tracked it for miles until he was starving, and had merely stopped at that exact house to get some food. The guy simply could not be trapped. Moving right along, Section 4, Wit, Songs, and Mischief. This is basically a masterclass in conflict resolution, Rumliana style. So he gets caught red-handed stealing pre-chopped firewood from a guy named Punga. Punga's furious and drags Rumliana in front of the village chief and the elders for a formal trial. The court is completely set, the tension is sky high. And what does Rumliana do? He struts into the court, grabs Punga by the hand, and loudly declares, "You're just doing this because you want a drink, let's go." He then physically drags his accuser right out of the courtroom to buy him alcohol. The chief and the elders were left sitting there completely baffled, and they just went ahead and declared the case entirely settled. He literally disarmed the justice system with aggressive hospitality. After leaving the military, he settled in Naganabak village. During a gathering where, the drinks were flowing, he casually drops this incredibly insulting lyric into a song. "Let Naganabak village perish, except me." Naturally, the village elders were instantly furious. But Rumliana, cool as a cucumber, challenged them to sing the song themselves. As the angry elders belted out the lyrics, they ended up singing the words, "except me," thereby unintentionally wishing for their own salvation. The moment they realized they had just sung themselves out of danger, their anger totally vanished. Tension instantly diffused. Even in super chaotic situations, his prankster nature took the wheel. The Turio River had flooded, trapping a group of women. Rumliana steps up, heroically offering to escort them across the dangerous water one by one. But, true to form, he implements a highly inappropriate safety mechanism, involving exactly where they had to hold on to him, basically threatening to let go of them if they let go of him. When they later called him out for his outrageous behavior, he masterfully played the innocent victim. He kept a totally straight face and claimed, "I didn't do that. They were just terrified of the water and blindly grabbed onto whatever they could out of fear." He literally always had a denial queued up and ready to go. Section 5. The Heart of Mizo Humor. So why does all of this actually matter? Well, trickery, in this context, is a profound form of cultural resilience. In a world totally dominated by strict colonial military officers and rigid social hierarchies, Rumliana managed to level the playing field. He found real joy, and more importantly, autonomy, through his defiance. He was subverting colonial structures, not with violence, but with a baffling, infuriating smile. For the Mizo people, his legacy shows how quick verbal wit and situational humor aren't just for a quick laugh. They're legitimate, powerful survival tools used to navigate and gently dismantle oppressive forces. As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to think about this. How does humor challenge power? Rumliana's life is this incredible testament to the fact that sometimes the absolute sharpest weapon against unyielding authority is just a well-timed, completely absurd joke. Think about the tricksters, the Mimuksering, in your own history and culture. What does their joyful defiance tell us about the universal human spirit's refusal to be entirely controlled? Thanks so much for exploring the Legend of Rumliana with me today. And hey, keep questioning those rules around you.